Hi guys, and welcome back to another video. I first want to say thank you so much for the response. I was really shocked in a positive way at the response I got on my video regarding the coronavirus and all of that and kind of what's really happening. I also do want to say that I have a podcast, a lot of you do know, but an uncut version of the video. There are some things that I just thought might be a little bit too much to share on YouTube. The uncut version is available in a podcast form. If you like that video and you kind of want to hear, if it resonated with you and you want to hear more of my thoughts, I'll link the podcast episode down below. Hopefully it'll be up by the time this video is up, because I'm recording this and I will edit it, or it'll be up very shortly, within like 24 hours, if not sooner. So within 24 hours, yeah, but if not, like even sooner, like within a few hours if you watch this, or when it's up, it'll be up very soon, basically, if it's not up already. I asked you guys, of course, I tell you that on Instagram I do this thing I call like a temperature check. I check in and I see which topics are on your guys' mind. I ask like any questions, advice, situations, anything that's on your mind, and I see what the collective themes are, and then I kind of get inspired from there. I think it's important to make content that's like we're all interconnected, right? So if a lot of you guys are having the same question or same topic or the same theme or cycle in your life, I want to be there, you know, to talk about it. Most likely I've had some experience, or maybe I'm having a similar experience that I can share and shed some light on it, and that we can connect that way. Today's video I'm going to talk about emotionally unavailable people, quote unquote, what they are, what, why, how, and basically like a kind of an overview. It's really difficult for me to keep these videos short. As you know, I'm used to speaking for long periods of time, so I feel like the podcast platform works really well for me, but I'll try to keep it as concise as possible. So oftentimes we categorize, maybe some of us are, maybe some of us have attracted or experienced emotionally unavailable people. Basically, from my perspective, how I would describe someone who is quote unquote emotionally available is they have a fearful avoidant attachment style. If you haven't looked into attachment styles, there's a lot of research online. You can look up attachment styles and read about them. There's like the anxious fearful, or anxious avoidant. There's a few. There's secure, and then there's three more. One of them is fearful avoidant. There's a lot of research on it. I'm sure you can actually find a lot of good quality videos. I do know some good videos that I will link if you want to tap into it. But basically, these attachment styles, basically the way that we form relationships with others, more specifically intimate relationships, are formed in childhood and are created by the relationships that we have with our parents, usually the parent of the opposite gender. So for women, it would be the relationship they had with their dad, and for men, the relationship they had with mother. We hear mama's boy or daddy issues thrown around, and this all kind of swivels back into this one topic. So fearful avoidant attachment style is basically how it's usually formed in childhood. Is when a boy, oftentimes it more often happens to men who become fearful avoidant, and I will explain why. Like I said, it is mirrored by the opposite parent. So for girls, more often than not, if they're crying or upset, the mom has a very strong attachment to the daughter because of the same gender. It will comfort her. And men inherently usually have a very strong desire to comfort a daughter as well. This does happen in women. I'm not saying it doesn't, but I would say more often than not it's in men. So basically when a boy is young, it can happen usually 0 through 8, but it can happen, it basically gets ingrained there, and it can become amplified throughout their young adulthood, throughout their relationships, and etc. So basically, if the boy is crying when they're young, what the mother would do is basically be like, I'm just gonna let you be in a corner, or like I'm not gonna give you any attention when you cry, or anytime they're throwing a fit or showing emotion, or I don't know, yelling or being upset. Anytime a heightened emotion is expressed, or any sort of really emotion is expressed, it's either ignored or not given a vivid positive response. And what that teaches a young adult or a young boy or a young girl is that if I want to receive love, I cannot show emotion. If I show emotion, I cry, I act out, I say how I feel, I will not receive love. Therefore, love is associated with no emotion. And so that is a very, very, very strong, it's very subconscious. Most people who are fearful avoidant just think like, oh, I know, they mostly just think like they're mostly very involved in work. It's the most common thing. Like they immerse themselves very deeply in another sector of life, and then use that sector as an excuse to justify not being able to cultivate a relationship, because whenever they do get close, they will pull away or self-sabotage, which I'll talk about a little more. So it's just like a very complex subject. I'm gonna try to keep it in a 20-minute video. but we're gonna kind of start from we're gonna start from like childhood to an adult scenario and what you can do to heal that. So basically, they associate emotion, no love, and so therefore when they grow up in their young adulthood, they will attract partners who usually, what a fearful avoidant attracts someone who's codependent, because someone who's codependent doesn't want to let go and will continue giving reassurance to the fearful avoidant person. This person will pull away, this person will chase them. It's kind of like the empath narcissist connection. It's very similar in that sense. So it's like someone who's fearful avoidant, someone who's anxious and codependent, who's been abandoned before, will cling on to this because it feels familiar. That's of course if it's not healed. So they will attract relationships like that, and their whole life they'll kind of usually think that like it's fine, that they're the one that's usually less invested in the relationship, and that they can still have this relationship, but it isn't based in any vulnerability or intimacy. It's almost an exchange. Like the person, and they're not to blame, they don't have malicious intent. Oftentimes the people, if it gets, I have to see a case-by-case scenario, because I feel like I give advice and then some of you guys have personal scenarios. So I always say, if you have a very specific situation, I still have openings for one-on-one sessions via Skype, 30-minute or 1 hour. I'd be more than happy to do that, because to identify who someone is a bit, I wouldn't say a bit difficult. If you're more intuitive and empathetic and I'm explaining this to you, I think you'll kind of have maybe a person pop up, or it'll click. But if it's a more complex situation and they might just have tendencies, it can get a little, hard to tell. But basically they live their whole life and they kind of think of their relationship as an exchange. They kind of think like, okay, I'm here, I put in like effort, and then I get whatever. This person always gives me validation and love and but they don't really invest themselves in the relationship, and they can often abandon the relationship very easily with no emotion because they weren't invested in the first place. If you didn't invest anything in the first place, when you leave, you're not losing anything. You have to remember, the codependent person will often be extremely shocked, extremely upset, and be like, how could I mean nothing to you? It's because it's not that you meant nothing to them, it's that the amount of fear to them putting emotionally investing is associated with that feeling of like deep rejection from their primary caregiver, and they don't want to experience that before, and it's very subconscious. So to them, they associate in the subconscious, if I show emotion, I'm going to receive this deep rejection, although it's not true. And of course, oftentimes the vulnerability in a two-way street makes the relationship stronger and builds a foundation. This is ingrained subconsciously in that person. So now the question is, why do we I'll talk about if you're that kind of person. I can make a separate video on how to heal that and explain what happens. I'll talk about it a little bit in here, but basically then we think, why do we attract these kinds of people? Basically, you're attracting people who you feel like can never commit to you, who never love you the same way you do, who almost disrespect you, right? And the reason being is because at our core, we still have a deep fear of a genuine connection. So usually most people who, I feel like most females are more gonna be leaning towards like the, I need to find the exact name. Yeah, it's just called the anxious, people call different things, but they call it the anxious attachment style. Most girls are going to be leaning towards that attachment style. It's very common. I was leaning towards that attachment style because most girls had experience, especially in young adulthood, maybe high school, college relationships, men who are usually immature at that stage and can cause damage, so to say, or really hurt young women in ways that cause them to feel abandoned or not enough, and in turn we have a more anxious lifestyle. It's very common, something to be ashamed of. It's genuinely usually what happens. And so when we have that anxious attachment style, we're not secure. The secure attachment style, which I'll talk about a little bit more, and I'll leave some like helpful links down below, is when you are fully confident of yourself. You are fully in your own, I would say, energy. You're not dependent on deeply, like you're not like dependent on others. Your happiness truly comes from within. You are open and vulnerable and create deep, meaningful relationships. You are open to connection. It feels comfortable for you to give and receive love. That is the key word I'm hearing. It feels comfortable for you to give and receive love. Often those of us who are anxious avoidant, it is because of the fear in the anxious avoidant of being abandoned again, or of being disrespected again, or of having someone cheat or disrespect you or be dishonest, basically not be a healthy, loyal partner. We have this in our subconscious, it's more comfortable to attract something that is familiar, where we can claim that we're open to a relationship, we can still express love, but we are already aware we are not going to deeply receive it back, and that is comfortable. That's a little bit hard to explain, but I'm going to try to give you an example. So let's say a man is emotionally unavailable, right? And the girl meets him. These people who are emotionally available, I do want to keep in mind, like it's usually very subconscious. It's not like they're like, oh, I don't want love, I don't want relationships. Like everyone craves intimacy and everyone craves love and everything like that. So these people are still, you know, going on dates or out and about. Like a lot of men are emotionally unavailable because of that's even more deep rooted because of the way they're taught not to express emotion and et cetera, et cetera. But basically, they're not easy to spot in the beginning. Emotionally available in the beginning, these guys or girls can be bubbly, they can be fun, they can be loving, they can be charismatic. It's seen usually within like you just see it over an extended period of time behavior. I'm sure if you I don't even know how to explain this, but basically it's like you can see their behavioral patterns over an extended period of time. They're not going to be reciprocative. They're going to be hot and cold oftentimes to you. That can also be a manipulation tactics that men use that a lot of them are actually aware of. It's very case by case. I'm trying to give like this generalized video and a good explanation, but also acknowledging the possible scenarios in case you do fall into a different scenario, that I'm not misleading you, and I'm kind of opening the door to what else it could be. So yeah, it could be like it could be the hot and cold behavior. It's just going to be, you'll feel that you are investing and you are putting in and you are genuinely open and being like loving, and you're not feeling that reciprocation. And I think it's hard to tell when this is happening because it almost becomes a norm, and until you do experience a genuine healthy relationship, it's hard to tell. I'm gonna put on the screen a really helpful I'm gonna put on the screen, but like a healthy relationship, I feel free and safe to express what I'm feeling. I feel seen and heard. When I think of this person, I feel grounded. I trust that we have good intentions. I don't have to perform to receive love. We have conflict and use it to communicate objectively. So basically, let's think of the opposite. So if you don't feel free, if you feel like every time you say how you feel, they shut down, run away, leave you with your feelings, you have to apologize to make them even be nice to you again. This is often a trauma relationship. I feel seen and heard. So if you don't feel like the person recognizes you authentically for who you are, wants to hear your thoughts or opinions, either makes you feel stupid, makes fun of your values, disrespects the things that you enjoy or respect, and etc., unhealthy relationship. With the person that you're with, when you think of them, it should feel calm. My friend Aubrey actually said this in a resume a bit ago. She's like, the person that's right for you will make you feel calm. It won't feel like this climb, this like never-ending climb of never having them. It's like often those who are emotionally unavailable, and if you are chasing after them or trying to make it work with them, it feels like you never have them. It feels like every time you hang out with them, no matter how much you try to be vulnerable, you share, you try to get close, you do relationship exercises, you never have like a grip on them. Not that you're like gripping people and holding on to them, and you know, but it feels like you just never like have them. You feel like you're always reaching for more and reaching for more, and you never get that more. Maybe breadcrumbs to string you along, but never, you know, never more. I trust that we have good intentions. I mean, that is an obvious one. If you do not think that the person you're with has good intentions for you, that is a red flag. There is like an article or a book that talks about 3 questions you should ask yourself about the person you're with to see if that is someone you should be with. And it's like, I trust, if I had to give away my right to make choices for myself, hypothetically, would I trust this person to make big life decisions for me? And in a life or death situation, would I trust them to make a decision for me? If the answer is no, I just suggest you think about that. I don't have to perform to receive love. This is a very, very crucial one. You do not have to go above and beyond. Of course, there's exceptions. You can have nice gestures. You can be a lovely person. You can, you know, show your love and express it, but you do not feel like you have to go above and beyond to receive the bare minimum from someone else. You are inherently lovable. You deserve to be loved, and if anything, the person that you are with should remind you of that. The person you're with should not make you feel insecure or worthless, like you have to fight for them continuously, like you have to prove yourself. If you're constantly feeling like you're like the pick-me girl, or think about this way, if you're always feeling like you have to say or give situations or act in ways that are like alluding to pick me, nope, you are not going to be a pick-me girl. You are inherently worthy, and the person you're with should actually even remind you that, like, wow, I don't need to go above and beyond. I don't need to like sacrifice myself. I don't need to violate my boundaries. I don't need to let go of who I am. I don't need to let go of big parts of my identity. I don't need to stop doing the things I love and expressing myself authentically. If you feel like you can't express yourself authentically, do the things you love, or truly open up and have a safe space with this person, think about that. And then we have conflict and use it to communicate objectively. The biggest red flag I can say to see if you're with someone who's emotionally available, although you'll probably already sense it, is if you feel like if you say something and that bothers you that they're doing, and you know that's gonna start a fight and that you're worried that they're gonna leave you, that is the biggest, that is like, you know, in bullfighting when they do the red flag, it's like, bitch, you need to go. I don't even mean to use that word, but like that is in my coaching and in my life, that's the biggest thing that I've seen. Those are people who are manipulative, and it's oftentimes, it can be purposeful, it can be non-purposeful. People manipulate themselves out of fear and don't understand what they're doing. Usually emotionally available people, when they do that, so let's say you come and you're like, hey, the way you did this, I feel so much like a girl will be like, you did this and this really hurt my feelings. A healthy partner would say, okay, like, why did this hurt your feelings? You would explain, they would understand, and they would probably stop doing whatever it is. Obviously, if it's like reasonable, and you know, everything I'm saying is let's use it within reason, okay? We have a little globe within reason, so let's not do like, but what if this scenario? If you have a different, an out there scenario, DM me, we can talk, but I'm trying to, you know, make a general video. And so, if you're ever feeling like you cannot voice that, that is a red flag. Usually, you know, you're going to, if you love your partner, to you that's a priority, and that is also a sign of emotional maturity. So yeah, I'll have that on the screen. And why we're tracking is because within us we have that deep fear of the, I'm trying to think of how to word this, because it's a very complex psychological thing. It's like, your logical mind would rather buy that illusion that like, see, I'm trying to have a healthy relationship, I'm secure and yield, I'm putting effort, and this person is not, and like it's like this like narrative. It's like the kind of like chaser and the one being chased narrative. It's very, very common, and it's familiar. It's very familiar to most of us, and so our mind feels almost, I don't say at ease, but our mind feels comfortable with that situation. We kind of, it's like we get used to it. You're like, I'm always putting this effort for this person, I'm never receiving back, I'm always showing so much love, and I feel like, a lot of people feel like if I just overflow them with love, I'll heal them. You will not. They literally have to do the inner work themselves. You could flow them with love. You could write them a poem. You could pour your love into a river and like soak them in it, like baptize them in it. Sorry for that reference. It's not going to make a difference. The person, unless the person themselves decides that they want to work on us, we have a little bit of emotional unavailability in us. We are still a little bit scared of having a genuine relationship, because if, let's say, you met someone who you could feel this is a genuine relationship, this has a potential to actually blossom into something, it's scary because it reactivates the feeling of a last relationship maybe that you felt was authentic to you, that you but obviously if it probably ended, that you're someone else now. So it reactivates those genuine feelings of like love or an initial infatuation, and your mind remembers the pain of that. So when you start feeling like a genuine connection, a real like genuine, like you feel that the person genuinely cares for you, immediately you get this fear of losing them, over there doing something to you. I hope I'm explaining this well, because it's just very like complex to explain like in simple terms, but basically because so like let's say you start like that's why people who are fearful avoidant immediately like run when they feel that someone is like that they genuinely start having feelings for someone often, because the second that you, who's more like, let's say if you're secure, you're not going to be attracting fearful avoidant people or emotional available people, and I'm telling you that, like I can guarantee that, because you would never allow that behavior. If you saw signs of that behavior as a secure person, you just wouldn't tolerate it. And I can tell you that I've seen it, I've been to myself, you just wouldn't, it would never get to the point where you would even start developing deep feelings, because you'd see, if you saw any sort of disrespect, you are secure, so you're not afraid of really like losing them. So let's say even they played nice for like a week, 2 weeks, and the third week you start seeing signs, you're not going to be like, oh, but I just really want to be with this person, I don't want to be alone. You would cut it off because you're secure. You have to remind yourself of that. So if you're leaning towards, oh, I want to keep this person, or oh, you know what I mean, then you're most likely a little bit more anxious, which is completely normal. But when you are anxious, you still have a little bit of that fear, and the fear of your fear of the abandonment, that person's fear of connection is what attracts you. Again, same vibration, what we talked about in the coronavirus video. It's pulling you together because you both are resonating at a fear frequency, although it's very subconscious. So as soon as you remove that fear and genuinely get to the secure attachment style by yourself, this can happen. It's everyone's life path is very different. So sometimes a more anxious person will genuinely attract a secure person, and they'll actually heal together. Sometimes what usually happens is the anxious person attracts a lot of emotionally unavailable people until they get literally genuinely sick of it, and they just say like, I'm just not even gonna form relationships, and then they actually are with themselves and they heal and they actually become secure, and then they attract a secure person. That's the normal scenarios. So people get stuck in that cycle for a long time until they realize what's happening, and hopefully this video can be some sort of, even if just like a little tiny wake-up call so you can begin the journey. Some people are stuck in that pattern their whole lives, and I would never want that to happen to any of you. Some people, like I said, continue attracting emotionally available people because it's like, it keeps showing up until you recognize it. And then the third people, they'll just attract someone, everyone's like that is different, and our divine plan is different. They'll attract someone who's very secure, who really, really deeply loves them and will actually help them heal. Of course, I'm not gonna tell you guys to go try to seek a secure person because it's hard to find. Usually the person will be divinely brought in, but I suggest you take matters into your own hands and make the decision yourself. I mean, everyone has their own path, right? And we all have free will. You right now have the free will, and that if you want, you can literally go on your own healing journey and genuinely get to the point where you feel secure. Not where you say you feel secure, not where you say you love yourself, but when you genuinely have this deep sense of self-respect that you are genuinely fulfilled and content on your own, that if anyone's gonna come into your life, they are going to add value. They're not gonna just be there. They're not gonna add zero value because you yourself are whole and prosperous and abundant. If someone's gonna be coming in, they're gonna be bringing additional value. So if someone is disrespecting you, disrespecting your boundaries, or doesn't bring any additional value into your life, you're not going to be accepting it. If you have the free will to get to that place to attract a better partner now, you can start the journey today. To start person to make you feel calm and not like they're unreachable. And I hope with that video I was able to give you a little bit of insight. I will link some helpful resources down below. If there's anything that I mentioned that you maybe want me to dive a bit deeper in a video, I would love to do my best. I tried to cover kind of an explanation, some scenarios, and some opportunities for healing for both sides so that we can end on a nice kind of more positive note of how we can make progress and move forward and grow and evolve, because that's the direction we always want to head in, or at least attempt to head in. Again, thank you for all your love. If you enjoyed this video and you resonate with me, be sure to subscribe. I'm very frequently on Instagram if you want to be a little bit more connected, and if you want to voice your opinion and what you're looking to hear and see and be discussed in videos, as well as your personal experiences. I love when you DM me and tell me your personal experiences, or if you ever want to work one-on-one, I always have the option so that I obviously can get a much clearer image of your exact situation. And lastly, 4 more days of Clyde's March collection. I do urge people to, if you're interested, to order even now when you're seeing this, because in case there are more shutdowns that I'm not able to ship, I would hate for that to happen. I will try to be shipping these out very, very quickly. So if you want, there's 4 different earrings from the Darling collection. If you'd like any of them, I suggest you place your orders. We can get those out to you very soon. These are the classic Darlings, ones I've been wearing. We also have Midnight Darling, which are these in a cobalt, Modern Darling, which are just a white kind of like shiny one, and Sky's the Limit Darling, which are like a blue shiny one. And on that note, I'm going to conclude this video. I love you guys so much. You guys are all doing well. Leave me your thoughts down below, and I'll see you so soon.